Well, it says I'm live. Maybe I am. Here we go. These are end time talks, and what we're talking about today is from First Timothy chapter 4. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. For every creature of God is good, and nothing to be refused, if it be received with thanksgiving, for it is sanctified by the word of God and prayer. Uh, it's kind of funny. I've heard this preached and taught for years, of course, and we talk about giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, and the doctrine of a devil, I guess, might be in the eye of a beholder, because we're in an age where everybody calls everybody else a heretic. Now, I've got to wonder about that kind of. And then when you get into the departing from the faith, well, you have all my Calvinist brothers who say, well, you can't depart from the faith because once you're saved, you're always saved. So it doesn't matter. No way you can depart from the faith. You can quit living for Jesus, but you can't depart from the faith. And my Arminian friends would say, well, that's nonsense. You can get up and leave anytime you want to. That's how you depart the faith. And then I have people at anywhere between the lines, the endpoints of that spectrum. I find it enlightening to see that in First and Second Timothy, Paul condemned Alexander, Hymenaeus, and Demas for leaving the faith. I don't know exactly how you do it. I mean, I'm a Baptist preacher, and I believe in eternal security to this extent. Whomever Jesus is saved forever. And that is eternal. But it's a question of, are you his or not? Do you belong to him or not? Is you is or is you ain't? I think it misses the point. We do have some instructive words about Demas. It says he loved this present world. In other words, he loved this present world more than he loved God. And that's why he departed from the faith. But that's always it. You either follow Christ or you follow the devil. You either love Christ or you love the world. There's no in between. Speaking lies and hypocrisy and having their conscience seared with a hot iron. This is all stuff, and the list goes on about how this has to do with church history and with the Gentiles and the pagans and the Jews, especially when we get to here, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats. Well, of course, the Roman Catholic Church forbade their priests to marry. I may be a little cynical about this, but I'm thinking they probably forbade them to marry so that they could take care of them forever, but then they wouldn't have to deal with heirs when that priest was dead. I'll give it to the Catholics. They'll take care of you forever, but you don't have much say in it. It's a matter of control, money, wealth, property is the reason that they forbid people to marry. But I don't think that's what it's talking about here. And by the same token, abstain from meats. When I was a new Christian in my Baptist church on the north side of Houston, the preacher would say, well, just look at the Catholics. Can't eat meat on Friday. But I knew they ate fish because a lot of my friends went to the Assumption Catholic School. My friend, Dr. Barley the plumber, said that the Assumption School was where they assumed everything. Well, I know that's not what he meant because I had read the catechism, so I know. But but abstaining from meats, or Judaism preventing people from eating pork. The same thing uh, with the Muslims forbidding to eat pork. And there are other religions that forbid meat altogether. You know, the Hindus, they don't eat cows. There are some strict Eastern religions who are strictly vegetarian, and they don't eat any meat at all. A lot of Americans like that, abstaining from meat. But these are all having to do with religions. This has been going on for millennia. We need to look at the operative phrase here when it comes to forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats. We need to look at it this way. What is the operative verse here? Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times, in the latter times, that's now. We're in the last days. That's what this little series is all about, End Time Talks. We're going to talk about the end times. I hope that you jump on board here and argue with me, because nothing sharpens your argument better than arguing it out. You know, iron sharpens iron. Sometimes you leave a trail of blood. I've been gutted on the stage many a time, metaphorically, in elocution, as it were. The Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, and giving heed to these seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, forbidding to marry. Well, you know, Jesus said that from the beginning it wasn't so about divorce. And he said that, have you not read that God made them male and female? And for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife. And they shall not be twain, they shall be one flesh. And what God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. Well, man is putting asunder the very idea of marriage. I'm going to make everybody I know mad. But the only way that I can know that I'm serving God, the more people I anger, the closer I am to Christ. So I just fully accept that. Marriage is one man and one woman producing children. That's what a marriage is. That's what it's for. Half the reason the world is failing right now is because the enlightened men and women of the Western world have quit having children. They're being overrun by the heathen. There you go. That's what it is. That's what marriage is. They forbid to marry. We're forbidding to marry not through law right now, but through practice. You know, make it hard for a woman to work. Well, if you have a baby, you're going to get fired, or you're not going to be on the track to promotion. Or if it said that we're not going to encourage that, and we're going to take your children and put them in, government indoctrination centers. We call them public schools now. That wasn't the way it was when I was a kid. Nobody was afraid to go to public school because you weren't going to hear anything weird. If you go to public school now, everything you hear is going to be weird. You're probably going to have a transvestite reading your kids a story in the library. I mean, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. We forbid to marry by practice. Millennials, I don't even know what you call them anymore, but people who are a lot younger than I am, they don't care about having children. They're not excited about getting married. When I was a kid, all I could think of was grabbing onto a girl and hanging on to her, and that's what you did. All women are the same. You just grab one and you hang on. and you live together for 50, 60 years until one of you dies, and you have your babies and you live your life. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way the Bible lines it out. But no, that's not good enough anymore. You might not even be sure that you're a man or a woman. You might not be sure if you're a man that you're supposed to love women. Maybe you love men and you're a homosexual. And the same thing with the women. We weren't designed that way. We were designed for men and women to marry and make a life together. God made the woman especially to be a help meet for Adam. The only reason we have a problem with this is because we rebel. So we're not forbidding to marry, but what you do is when you when you just ridicule the idea of marriage by saying that anybody can get married. Two guys can get married, two gals can get married. Oh, they can't produce children? Fine. We will have artificial insemination. We'll have adoption. We will just not have children. Why do you think all Western countries have fallen below the birth rate? Because our practice in society, our attitudes lead to forbidding to marry. It's a sign that we're in the last days. The religious decrees to forbid to marry, they're not political decrees. It is just the poltergeist, the ghost. It's the zeitgeist of the age. It's what everybody's thinking. It's the way the culture's going. I don't think you can be popular on TV unless you dye your hair every day and you're gender fluid or something. I just don't think it happens anymore. And commanding to abstain from meats. Remember, in the latter days. Well, the whole climate change deal and Klaus Schwab and the Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum and the big global reset, and all this stuff, all the goody two shoes, they're going to save the world because we're going to quit eating cows because livestock production is ruining the environment. Well, one volcano eruption puts out more carbon dioxide than cows do in 1,000 years. It's crazy. Our president, our government, the world governments, the UN, the EU, they always say we gotta quit eating meat. I guarantee if they get us all to quit eating meat, the rich people will still be eating meat. It's all virtue signaling. It doesn't have anything to do in reality. The economy of the United States would fall and the world would starve if we stopped livestock production. You couldn't get enough calories from rice and beans and corn, beloved. There's just not enough acres to plant, and you can't get enough protein from it to live on. Not for 8 billion people. It's a sign that we're in the latter days. The Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith. Well, we certainly are, because we believe we're smarter than God. We believe we're more powerful than God. We believe we don't have to listen to God. We believe we can withstand God. And that, my friends, whether we define it by abstaining from meats, whether we define it for forbidding to marry, or sexual perversion, or sexual confusion, or climate change, it's all made up. It's all from the devil. It's all to get your eyes off of Christ. All of these are signs that we're in the last days. And the devil knows that he only has a little while left. I'm here to tell you, you only have a while. He's coming any day now. The Lord Jesus is coming any day now. If you don't know him, meet him today.